Okay. Good. Should I start? I can start. Okay. Okay, I hope you're all hearing me. Good evening and Tashidelek. Hope you all are well, healthy, and hope you all are happy too. Because I know this is a tough time and we all going through, somewhere behind our mind, some kind of concern, of tension, and either you are perfectly healthy and well, but the virus is spreading all around, and it's increasing, and this going and that going, and then the worry that you might catch it. So all this creates disturbance and disturb your mind. So how should we handle that? Is through practice of meditation. Without saying, for the mind, it needs the meditation to calm down and purify the defilement, that obscuration of mind. Only through the practice of meditation and our other practice, such as Mundra practice, such as Dharma practice, such as recitation of mantra, various methods can be applied to come out of our tension and depression and sadness. And obviously meditation is the most powerful. So tonight we will do sitting practice of meditation. And first of all, let's all do a prayer for the world peace. Prayer for this pandemic to end as soon as possible. And I think those prayers will help not only oneself, but other people in various different ways, such as people respecting wearing mask. I think maybe we should do pray people do wear mask and encourage and help people to be more responsible in time like this, so that we can contain this as soon as possible. And we can do that. If this is spread by human being from one to another, we can also stop this, with the right method. And so, anyway, it needs various different ways, internally, externally, how we can contain this. Okay? So first, let's do a prayer to Buddha and Bodhisattvas. So please join with me. Nazenum Dara Junundu Be, Taji Jujino Bayi, Sange Jodangi do Papeso, Kunacha Setacha, Tashishu to make you president. Champion Bagata Padamba, Kunogumbo Jujino Baja, Lumbotra Bazara Pedane, Simjatum Jalagur. Ism the Bazar of Double Days, and some the better sheep, Pepe, the worship by Jalachazaro, Champion Obade. Cherez one gumbo Jambebe, say in your Bodapa, number say, Namgani Bapa Jokunduzong, Ube to Jipega. No Boda water to Yumai, Chazel and Namtaji Begi George, and Jusen Bagala, Chazalo, and Jin the Jotages. The Jabazayon Kamala, Nidadu, the Puzo Pepe, Minujaze, when you call out the Jida Jiji. Chudu Jawachu Jingama, Gizong, Timbe, Tashilamu Yara Chazalo, some watch motage. Midodana Jabo Yugozo, Pajepoda Lua Mimizo, Namtizela Zakoloda, Tijula. Bewara Tijude, Sasum the Zogalek page, Jidekawagala Chazalo, Dajet in the Richawat. Gedanya Warsawa, Kunjini, the Debebe, some tuition, Tashi Dele, Pusum Soparsho, Dajet in the Richawat. Gedanya Warsawa, Kunjini, the Debebe, some tuition, Tashi Dele, Pusum Soparsho, Dajet in the Richawat. Gedanya warsawa kunjine, dede bebe samdui jinrup tashi dele posum so parashu. Jumnen de para gumboji zun jabe yana cha salo, kangilu de mitene, nidan darazebe, chingi to jizin yikudu. Kanda zeba zara mare mundum dungan ki zebe, rozo guna puji de zeyana to jayan da so, rodrichero nyu munjero de guchero. Mare musu dungar nyugu chingi jozera tenam, dene sachi sachi dordayi, dene sachi sete bikuchera. Chunyin jande, dalum musi jan, priyana du, marabzanade, 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 marabzanade. Marabzanade, 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 kurgumda de chachi changi pa, ubedana char. Lebazame jame jugo gumbo jambe yana chasate, concept of the bomb, choose to burden a young gumbo jame. Keme pariyan to washo concept of the bomb, choose it to burden a young gumbo jame, the yikime. Concept of the bomb, choose it to burden a young gumbo jame, the yiki, keme pariyan to warasho. Thank you. Well, in the past, I've been talking about the nature of samsara. And I think we are seeing the nature of samsara today more and more clearly. Samsara means cyclic existence, which is the nature of suffering, because the cause to samsara is a problematic source. And that problematic source is called afflictive emotion. So the mother of samsara is ignorant and afflictive emotion. And the sort of the child is the birth of the sixth realm and three realms. In Sanskrit they are called Rupa Dhatu, Arupa Dhatu, Kama Dhatu, or form realm, formless realm, and desire realm, as well as the six realms. One is our human realm that we all know, and then the God's realm, not the kind of God that which is taught, mentioned in the Judeo-Christian tradition, but in the Buddhist tradition, the gods, long-life gods, a place where there is, due to very positive karma, one is able to born to a high realm where people live for long life and have all the facilities, so to speak, where there's tremendous five sense pleasure. However, even one is born there, is impermanent. Once your karma is exhausted, the very cause to last there, then you will no longer last there, you fall down to other realms, within the six realms. So one can be born to demigods, or one can be fall into human realms, or one can be fall into animal realms, or one can be fall into hungry ghost realm, or hell realms. So infinite realms, because infinite thoughts and infinite conceptuals, infinite ideas, infinite notion of this and that. We have infinite. In fact, there are dimensions of life in this universe which is limitless, because due to limitless thoughts and conceptual arising. Even if you look at a chair where we would sit, how many different kinds of chairs? Just in general, you can see the Chinese style chair, the Japanese style chair, the French style, the Russians, the English, the Americans, I mean, we have all kinds of garden chairs, inside chairs, living room chairs, chairs in the bathroom, chairs in the toilet, infinite. Same thing, infinite ideas, infinite conceptual creates in dimension, in our mind that it takes shapes. Those mental dimensions take shapes. And that which takes shapes are called dimension of different states, different realms, such as human dimension, hungry ghost dimension, animal realms, God's realm, demigods. Within the God's realm alone, there are various different God's realm, various different demigods, different rulers. And within human being, we have different countries, different rulers, different system, different culture, different eating habits, different cultural habits. In the Western culture, after you eat, if you burp, it's considered very rude. But I heard in Afghanistan, if you don't burp, it's kind of disrespect to your host, because burp is a symbol that the dinner or lunch was very good, and you're very satisfied, and it's an expression of showing that you are fully enjoyed, and now you burp. So you see all these different kinds of dimensions just within human realm. Then among animal realm, among ants, that when you go through National Geography, how many different kinds of ant hierarchies and systems and their lifestyle, their army, their queen, and then their kids, and then this. So like infinites, because of infinite projection, infinite afflictive emotions. So since the cause of the experience of all the different realms come from this afflictive emotion, and therefore anything coming out of afflictive emotion is the nature of suffering. That's why it is in the Dharma again and again, it reminds us and it teaches us to recognize where we are, and we are in samsara. As long as we're in samsara, there is always the nature of suffering, uncertainty, changes, condition, impermanence. As a result, suffering will be there. So therefore, we all have a notion before the pandemic. We know, it is life is impermanence, life is changing, but we never really thought that, it changes, that we are almost next to the change. We are next to impermanence. We're seeing, such as all these countries from the United States to Europe to Asia, China, Japan, India, South America, African countries. We thought, we could, after so many years, people have put hard work and have savings and have built up the country. Suddenly we are seeing, the whole country is shut, and the airline industry to restaurant industry to everything suddenly falling apart in so short span of time. You would think that even if you don't do anything, it will last at least for like few years. Then maybe it will begin to fall apart. But things are falling apart within months. That's our nature of impermanence. Probably we've been living in the fool's world, hoping that things are quite solid and quite permanent and quite real. But the nature is not as real and permanent and solid as we might have hoped for. So we are seeing suddenly all these changes that we are confronted with. That's the nature of samsara. Therefore, in the Dharma, it says that if there is happiness, it's not samsara. Devayana korwa min, the Tibetan word is. If there is happiness, then it's not samsara. The notion of nirvana and the notion of samsara, the definition is quite clear. Nirvana means liberation, and samsara means being caught up in that whirlwind. Now, then on the other level, who experiences samsara? is this mind. And then who experiences Nirvana is also the mind. Now the question is, the experience of impermanence and futility, all the unwanting phenomena that we're trying to avoid, and we try to run away from that, or we try to protect ourselves from that, is the creation of our mind. So what is known as generally when we talk about samsara, the cyclic existence, we are talking about karmic world, karmic phenomena. And when we talk about karmic world, we talk about two kinds of karma. One is the individual karma, and one is collective karma. Individual karma, even siblings who came out of the same mother's womb, they're different. They're different nature, different character, different style. They're different person. Even they all came out of the same mother's womb. Then collectively, yes, you all hold the same name, same second name of that family. So that's like a collective karma. Just a very general example. So then there is the collective karma of the whole world. Then there is individual karma. Now when we look at this pandemic, collective karma, yes, the whole world is going through this, the same virus, the same strain of virus. Perhaps it is mutated on the road, but basically the same strain which is started, and everyone, millions of people have caught that. Now at this point about 10 million people, that's my understanding, 10 million people has caught this strain. But not everyone died. I think so far, how many few 100,000 people died? But not everyone, and they say the most people who died is in the United States. But not everyone in the United States who got that died. But a lot of people in the United States died, and other countries too. So individual karma, where certain people, regardless of the age, though it is said that the older people and people with diabetic, people with health issues are more vulnerable. But then there are people, who is like 90-something years. And I heard there is also someone who is 100 years old, they also got healed. So you see there's individual karma and then there's a collective karma. But regardless whether it's individual karma or whether it's collective karma, there is suffering during this period. There's tremendous suffering, in fact. In one way or another, physical suffering, mental suffering, losing jobs, food, tremendous suffering. I can't imagine the kind of suffering people are going through. It's just a question, some go through more, some go through less. But yet, we are still same thing in that ball. Everyone is in that ball, the same dimension. And that is samsaric, dimension of samsara. So this is, I think we just saw futility of life, of samsara. And we might think, okay, when this ends, I think, of course, it will end. A vaccine may come, I don't know how soon, but it will end at some point. Then we think, okay, I can start my life, a rosy life. We may say, I may go back to my old lifestyle. But actually, the old lifestyle wasn't that rosy too. It has never been rosy. Samsara has never been rosy. To think that samsara is rosy, it's probably we are wrong. It has never been rosy. Samsara has been always like a pit hole, like a fire. In the midst of fire, there is no coolness. In the midst of shit, there is no perfume. It's always been like that. So now, then practicing Dharma. So if the samsara is an impure state, a place where there is suffering, then where do we look for happiness? The question is. Where can we achieve a liberation from this cycle? And for that, when you go and investigate now, investigate the creation of samsara and then dismantling of samsara. When you look at the creation of samsara, it all begins from ignorance. And it begins with afflictive engagement, afflictive emotion. Already, the moment there's afflictive emotion, there is engagement, it's already happened. It's not that, first comes afflictive emotion, then comes engagement. It's just like happening. It's like your dream. Moment you dream, suddenly the whole dream phenomena is happening. Good or bad, nightmare or whatever is happening. Same thing, the afflictive emotion, which is the creation, ignorant afflictive creation of our phenomena. So since we create this phenomena and see how this is interesting, from an individual point of view. First, before you go to the collective, you need to look at the individual point of view. It's very unique. This samsaric, individual, karmic phenomena is very, very unique. In fact, one time when I was with my teacher, his son is Dujum Rinpoche, the previous Dujum Rinpoche, Jigdalisha Dorje. I asked His Holiness one day, do each being, do they experience different phenomena, different experience in their mind as an individual? And he said, yes, each individual experiences differently. And then you see, I think we need to pay more attention how things are built up. We don't pay much attention how things were built up. We just go with the flow. And I think someone who really wants to go deeper into Dharma, Dharma means finding reality. That's what Dharma means in Buddha Dharma. Dharma doesn't mean like doing some worship and reading some texts and lighting an incense. Of course, they are also part of the Dharma. But all those point is, trying to undo the doing which has been done by the afflictive emotion, creation of the afflictive emotion. So then, when we begin to investigate our personal experience, supposing, let me give you an example. Out of the 7 billion people, today, probably there could be more, but let's say 7 billion human beings on this planet Earth. Each and every single being have a different perception of phenomena. Not the same, different perception. Based on those different perception, we can say that on a personal level and a collective level. But first we want to go to the personal level. So if a 7 billion human beings see differently, therefore we have incredible wide varieties of food, wide varieties of cultures, wide variety of things, that how people see it and experience it and like it. But it's very unique to each individual. You only see that on an individual level. Others don't experience that. And you may wonder, how come? For example, if you fall in love. If you fall in love, what you see into that person, nobody sees. The rest, 6,999,000,000, whatever, do not see that. Only you see in that person. Therefore, we say the beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. It means that perception just sort of reserved for you. And of course, that also can change. Because nothing is solid. They're devoid of any inherent existence. But when you experience that, you only see that person fall in love, that nobody sees it. Rest of the 7 billion humans don't see that. Only you sees that. Good or bad, whatever. The same thing with bad, same thing with good. So you see, our perceptions are built based on our, if you go further deeper, we can use the word, first of all, the ground of ignorance, which is the notion of ego. Then, moment there is an ego, then already the fundamental clear light is like the pure nature is like obscured. And that manifestation of the obscured are the 3 poison: aggression, attachment, and ignorance, of course, the cause. So moment we begin to see, moment the grasping, the sense of I builds up, then you begin to build up with all the different passions and emotions, and you create phenomenal world through that. Because you created that phenomenal world, you see that phenomenal world, you experience that phenomenal world because of your mind. Because of your mind, not only you see that as on a grosser phenomenal level, you also see that on a subtle phenomenal level, such as when you go to sleep at night, you see that in your mind. Out of the 6 consciousness, the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, the nose consciousness, the tongue consciousness, the body consciousness, and the mind consciousness, or mental consciousness. In this case, we would say consciousness. It doesn't mean that a person has 6 different kind of consciousness or 6 different entity. The traditional example is put like in a glass box, 1 monkey. Person from the east sees a monkey, person from the west sees a monkey, person from the north sees a monkey, person from the south sees a monkey, person from the top sees a monkey, person from the bottom sees a monkey. So it's like 6 different consciousness. But it's the same monkey, different facets. Same thing, consciousness. That eye consciousness, which usually you need to see visual things, you need the eye, eye consciousness. Otherwise you can't see if you don't have eyes. All your hearings are from this sound consciousness, ear consciousness. It's labeled as ear consciousness. Then the smell consciousness, the taste consciousness, the feeling consciousness by the body. And then the mental consciousness. So when you go to sleep, what happens? Your eyes get closed. You're not seeing through the sensorial, visual. It's no longer there. Even someone standing right in front of you, you're not going to see them when you fall asleep. The things you hear in your dream are not through your ear consciousness. The things you see in your dream is not through your eye consciousness. The thing you smell in your nose is not through your nose consciousness. The things you taste in your mouth is not through the tongue consciousness. The things you feel in your feeling, good or bad, is not through your physical consciousness. They're all in the mental consciousness. You're sleeping. Your eyes are shut. Even someone say, how are you doing? When you're in deep sleep, you won't even hear what they say. So all these five consciousness are like dormant. But sixth consciousness is what is experiencing all those things. So you see how the mind, as I said, the creation is the mind. How the mind during the daytime, our imagination, our fantasies, our ideas, our thoughts, all build up that idea, and then finally we begin to experience in our mind. So this is how individual karma begins. And furthermore, the example of how a person falls into love, or a person hates someone. But then at some point that can also change. They hate, enemies become friend become enemy too. Their perception changes. Because nothing really objectively is real. Everything is in your mind finally. So, individual karma. Then collective karma, as a country, as a nation, as a society, as a group. We have that collective karma. And between this individual karma and collective karma, we live our life and we engage in this system, individual system or collective system, and then we create things, goes up, goes in the middle, comes down, fall apart, and then create. So the creation, samsara, keeps spinning, on that. With the root cause, the engine is the three, the engine is, so to speak, is the ignorant, this notion of sense of I, and then the attachment and aversion. But there's more to that, actually. What the attachment and aversion does is create an emotion, a phenomena that, is like endless phenomena creation that is impure phenomena. Because the root cause is afflictive emotion. So therefore, always some problematic, something you hit the wall all the time. And that's where you feel the pain of life. Including, different design, how sickness, whether it was irresponsible, not caring, including not wearing a mask. You spread things, or originally this was like some say is genetically, military-wise, some kind of lab creation. How it spread, I don't know. Whatever it is, we can create all kinds of this kind of suffering. As long as there is ego and aggression, it will always create this kind of notion of negativity, knowingly or unknowingly. That's the nature of samsara. So then, now the Dharma. Dharma is to look at that very source, how to transform that and how to transmute that. You cannot run away from your attachment. You cannot run away from your aggression. You've got to work with that aggression. You've got to work with that desire. You've got to work with that ego if you have to solve the problem. You can't run away from that. And the way the Dharma is how to work with your passions and neuroses on the path. Do you throw away the passion on the path? Or do you engage with the passion on the path? Do you transform that passion on the path? Or you use that passion on the path? Or you see the nature of the passion on the path? There's the difference of the yanas, different skill. And one thing, fundamentally, one very important thing, you see, in every spiritual tradition, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism, I bet every spiritual tradition would say, have good heart. I bet, universal. Because if you don't have a good heart, you can't really help yourself. You can't help others without anything. You can help yourself. And that also means that indirectly, the message is going that ego is the problem. How specific and explicit the tradition, different religious tradition, explain that or not, as far as Buddhism goes so deep, that's where the practice of meditation comes. Before doing meditation, the practice of hearing, we call it. Knowledge gained through hearing, knowledge gained through reflection, and knowledge gained through meditation. 3 different kinds of knowledge. First, you need to hear. What is passion? How do you engage with that? How do you deal with neurosis? Just saying everything is glorified, everything is great, that's escaping from the reality. It's not going to work out. You have to see if there is injury on your leg, you have to open the wound, you have to see whether it looks scary or red or whatever, then you clean it, then you apply the medicine, then you will get healed. Not that you are trying to run away from that. I don't want to look at it, I don't want to deal with it. That's what we have been doing so many times. We have been running away from our real problem. And samsara doesn't end that way. Because your neuroses are very smart. It's, ignorance is not as simple as you might think. Traditionally, the notion of ignorance, there are many different explanations in the text on ignorance. Dzogchen teaching, highest level, has its own way of explaining about ignorance. Then from the very start, when Buddha gave the Four Noble Truths, he said, understand this suffering, look at suffering, find the reality, and there's a cause to that. And then gradually, how to deal with ignorance is compassion on the Mahayana level. Because when you bring more heart and warmth and compassion, you got to step out of your ego at some way. You can't practice compassion if you just stay on the seat of ego. You have to get up from the seat of ego and walk to the other side. So therefore, compassion becomes very important. How we can free ourselves and benefit others. The practice of warm-heartedness, the practice of compassion. Directly or indirectly, however we practice. So then now the whole question comes, how do we handle this ignorance? How do we handle this anger? How do we handle this, all our passions and neuroses? It's amazing, that's why we call the great Buddha tremendous kindness. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, have they not come in this world, Who is there to show us this way? Just say everything is no problem, just, things will be taken care. It is never taken care that way. If you look at the Bodhisattva Avatara teaching, there are 10 chapters in Bodhisattva Avatara teaching. Chapter 6 of those chapters are dealing with, our generosity, patience, ethics, intelligence, samadhi, and then of course the 9 chapters is on wisdom, and the 6 parameters to 10 parameters, different levels, but all dealing with how to transform our passion. It's all working with our, for example, generosity is countering our stinginess, which is part of the ego, a very negative aspect of the ego mind, is stinginess. There are people, who are so stingy that neither they can use their wealth for themselves, nor they would share to others, and people die. And then when they die, they get so attached that their mind do not get any freedom and salvation or liberation. They just get stuck and become haunted. House become haunted. They're attached to a particular thing. And during their lifetime, they're so miser. They don't have friends, and nobody likes, and no merit. So in countering that stinginess is generosity. In fact, the Buddha said, if to counter the poverty is generosity. It is the grasping and holding that we are not able to share and offer or do. That's what's creating poverty. Even you have so much, but if you are so miser and stingy, you're just living in a very poor state. So we have to learn how to be generosity. Buddha said, in order to come out of poverty, generosity. Among all the generosity, within generosity, there is generosity of body, generosity of wealth, generosity of life. If someone is condemned to death, you go and save them by their life. It's the supreme generosity, because life is so precious to each and every one of us. When we save them from being dead, that's the most highest merit that one can accumulate among generosity. Then generosity of body. If you read the life story of Bodhisattvas, male and female Bodhisattvas, in the past, they in the Dharma text, how they have given their bodies, for the benefit beings. Many stories of before historical Buddha, when he was Bodhisattvas, in his 500 pure and impure life. Of course, we can't put the history of billions of life, but at some point you have to, make this. If you have to write a book, you can't write a book since immemorial time, 20 billion years ago. That's too long. So it says 500 pure life and 500 impure life of Buddha. So each one of those stories that, is accounted. So how on the path of Bodhisattva, where Buddha practiced the generosity of giving body, like limbs, different hands or eyes or whatever. Then the wealth. The third is the wealth. The top is the life-saving. Then second is the body. The third is the wealth, sharing wealth, giving wealth, charities, whatever. Now that is countering our stinginess, that neurosis. Stinginess is a neurosis because it makes you poverty, it brings you a lot of afflictive emotion and brings suffering to you. So therefore, in order to purify and remove that, you need to practice generosity. Not only what you own, but including rejoice in others' good act. We have to learn in so many ways. Because our mind is habituated with neurosis from so many lifetimes that we can't really rejoice sometimes. But we can change. Habit never means it's real. Habit, the very word habit, it's like already shows it's not something concrete and real. It can be changed. So we say change of habit. So in this case, from negative habit of opposite of generosity, miser, to transform into generosity. So, the practice of rejoice also. Anything good done by anyone in this world, we can rejoice. It makes our heart big. Instead of feeling jealous, or instead of blaming and complaining, oh, this is not perfect. Yeah, that is okay, It's not good. If it's good, we must rejoice. We don't have to look down, regardless whoever that person is. We have to respect. The thing is, in a simplified way, whatever is positive, we have to transform our mind to get it out of this pit hold of afflictive emotion, neurosis. In short summary, that's what it is. Both through body, speech, and mind. Directly or indirectly, it doesn't matter. So that's, how to counteract miser, generosity. Then ethics, creating the perfect world, creating the perfect environment where you will grow, where others will grow, where you make, you practice generosity. You just don't throw it here, you take it, but with respect. Because that's again countering your ego and your pride and all the neurosis on many different levels. So therefore, the practice of ethic. And the practice of intelligent. We get lazy. We get lazy in, either we think I will do some other time, whatever good we want to do, we must do it right away. With joy and with, if I can do something good, if you keep practicing, at some point it will be a natural part of you, instead of ignoring and neglecting that situation. Intelligent. Then patience. Having the patience to do that. Oh, it's too hot sun, or it's raining too much, or it's too cold weather, or it's too hard for me. Making the effort to bring happiness to other beings. It purifies your levels of neurosis and gives you the liberation and gives others the liberation. All place of joy. So patience. One-pointed concentration also. Your mind is not distracted here or there, but one-pointed concentration, called samadhi. You just focus to that particular project, so to speak. Then the last is the prajna, out of 6 paramita practice. Prajna is seeing the nature of reality. All phenomena devoid of any inherent existence. Basically, You let go. That's what we are trying to do in meditation practice. You let go. But then here's again, when we let go, we don't know how to let go. Because you're expecting something. You're expecting, oh, meditation will give me liberation. You don't know how to let go because you're expecting already. So therefore, it's very important, in this practice of meditation, it says how to practice meditation, how to deal with your mind. And traditional example is said that if you're walking at the bank of a river, if you stir up the water, it will get murky. And our way of usually day-to-day style is we want to clear the water by shaking it more, so we think all the dust and everything will go away. But in fact, it stirs it more. So now the actual method is, don't do anything. Don't suppress or don't engage. Just be aware. Of course, you have a mind, so you will be aware. Don't worry about aware, you will be aware. But don't be over-aware, such as engaging into it, such as our usual awareness style. And that is to clear it with, shake it up, so it will go away. It will not go away. There will be more dust, and the water will get more obscure, and you can't see anything. That's how we live day to day in our life. Now the thing is very simple. You just let it be. And then all the dust will settle down, the water will be clear, and you can see everything in the water. Fish, pebbles, purity of the water, whatever, everything will be clear. It's natural. It's the natural quality of the mind. Your pristine awareness. There's a natural quality. We have to discover the natural quality. You see, even we say organic food is great because it's natural. Anything natural we say is wonderful. Anything artificial, chemical is not good. So our usual way is like chemical, what we're bringing. Now we have to learn how to be natural. Then we can see, touch, then we can get connected to a nature of the mind. And seeing the nature of the mind, it will go deeper and deeper and deeper, which requires mindfulness. You're not going to learn meditation in one sitting or two sitting or 1 month. You will change. You will see improvement in your mind over the years. And you will see transformation. You will see yourself change. But when we talk of liberation from neurosis, it will take time, but it's not long. If you have the commitment to yourself and the teacher, one's commitment to practice, then you can achieve it. So you need the teacher, you need the commitment to do it, and the diligence that you put into it. Then all the method, not difficult then. Mindfulness is the most important in meditation. Without mindfulness, you will be again doing shaking, as earlier explained, the shaking way, how we usually deal with our mind. Try to clear away. But no, you just sit with that. You're not running away from that. And let it settle down. It has to settle down, in fact, because there is no choice. You just have to learn the secret of it, how to deal with your mind. If there's a wave, regardless, it's like, there's a rogue wave like 100 feet, or, or 20 feet, or 30 feet, or 10 feet, doesn't matter. All the wave has to settle down back into the ocean. There's no other place for it to go when you leave it natural. So because it goes in that, even those who are skillful sailors, the captain of the ship, they know how the nature of that water will work, and then regardless of how big the waves are, they're not afraid. They just go with it, and then they will pass through that wave. Same thing, a skilled person, what we will call meditators, or someone who has done a lot of meditation, will know how to maneuver through this violent or sometimes difficult situation without any problem. Because no matter how it comes, it has to go back to the basis of that, and basis the ocean itself. Regardless what the waves come, it has to go to that. There is no other place. But one important thing in meditation, as earlier I was saying, we don't know how to let go. You're told to relax, but we don't know how to relax. We always get impatience. We are looking for some result. It should be so free, and it should be so joyful, and it should be so, like universal, some kind of orgasm. Too much expectation. Lesser the expectation, the better the meditation. The more the expectation, lesser the meditation. That you have to learn. Of course, we all have expectation. So it's not that, when you come and sit practice, you should have no expectation. Of course, there's a desire to achieve, and that is good to have. But then while you're practicing the meditation, while you're applying the meditation, you must learn to, relax. You must learn to be natural and let go without looking for anything. Then you will see the mind nature. You see, that's the point. While in meditation, if you try to, okay, now this is not working, this, how should I deal with this? How should I deal with that thought? In fact, regardless of the nature of the thoughts, meaning whether it's good thought or bad thought or emotional thought or fantasy thoughts or imagination thought, they're all the same nature. There are no two different kinds of nature in all thoughts. All thought nature is same. Like regardless of whether it's 100 feet waves or 20 feet waves, it's the same how it comes and goes back. There's no two different kinds. The 20 feet waves, goes back into the ocean, and 100 feet goes up in the heaven. It never happens like that. They all comes up and goes down back into the same ocean. So, therefore, 6 paramita practice. You will learn, you will experience. You will know a lot of things when you do sitting practice. Therefore, it is called experience and knowledge gained through meditation. There's experience and knowledge gained through learning. There's experience and knowledge gained through introspecting. And there is an experience and knowledge gained through meditation. They're different, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. You see, you can't intuitive. For example, let's look at intuitive knowledge. Intuitive knowledge, you don't get it just simply by learning. Intuitive knowledge you gain through some deeper level of mind introspection. And of course, those who do meditation, they can have very deeper level of intuition because they go through many, deeper level of their mind, such as dreams, such as intuition, such as, including reading what other people's mind thinking, or your future. Those kind of thing goes very deeper level of mind. But they're all in your mind. They're the result of different stages. Knowledge gained through study, knowledge gained through introspection, and knowledge gained through meditation. Then in the meditation, shamatha meditation, mahamudra meditation, dzogchen meditation goes deeper and deeper. Ultimate, that in fact, the very notion of duality itself is liberated when you achieve the fully enlightened Buddha. What that means is no hanky-panky. You don't, what I mean is, you don't allow the dualistic mind to play a game on you. Because it always tries to play a game on you. That's how it's got a grip on us. It's like your dream. Your dream is constantly, playing game with you. Though it's your own dream, you don't realize it's playing the game with you. So anyway, so in the Dharma, Hinayana, 9 stages of 9 yanas, or on a general level, Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana. Then if you go further deeper, 9 yanas, 3 in the Chikunjung Drimbe Tekpa, Nankatub Rikchi Ki Tekpa, Sangwa Wangyurtab Ki Tekpa, Tibetan words. The first is Sharvaka, Parteka Buddha, and Bodhisattvas. Chikunjung Drimbe Tekpa is called. They're labeled as Kunjung. A little bit difficult for me to translate that. But those 3 outer levels of yana. Then the yana vehicle of the inner katup means like going through pains, not pain, but katup, where you're not afraid to go through that, such as kriya, upa, yoga, tantra. Then sangwa ungyurtab kitupa. That's the yana of imperial, so to speak, the pinnacle, conquering your mind entirely. But basically, in other words, in one level, the Hinayana level, you throw away the passion. You're dealing with it. How you deal, you're trying to get rid of it. You're throwing it away. Then on the Bodhisattva level, you are using it, some of that for the purpose, like a good herbalist would use certain level of poison to make medication with, mixing with some other medicine herb, which can be good for the health. Only expert can do that. So Bodhisattva level is the expert. Through the great compassion, you are more skilled to do that. Then there is the next level is how the passions are transformed or transmuted. So in other words, there's called whether the passions is passion abandoning, to take the passion on the path, to use the passion and to see the nature of the passion. That's how the wisdom lies, goes deeper and deeper. The early one throws the passion, then the next level transform the passion, then the next level transmute the passion. Then also among them, some use the passion on the path, and somehow they can, see the nature of the passion. The nature of the passion is wisdom. Of course, passion itself is not called wisdom. If passion itself is called wisdom, then all beings are enlightened. Dogs are enlightened, cats are enlightened, bugs are enlightened. They all have passions and neuroses. We are not talking about that. But where does the wisdom lies? Wisdom lies in that passion itself. So the passion is not necessarily thrown out. And that's something we're learning when we're doing meditation, It says when you don't reject the negative thoughts, and you don't just try to accept the positive thoughts. The generally notion would be, if I have a bad thought, I should reject that. And if I have a positive thought, I should hang on to that. That's our general notion. That's more like unskilled way of doing things. But more skilled person with, whether it's good thought, or whether it's a bad thought. If you don't, if you see that, moment you see that and you let it and allow that to naturally subside, it will naturally subside. There's no need to be aggressive towards hating that. It goes actually so deep. Our notion of hate and aggression is really trying to, meditation is so deep, how we can work to kill our aggression. Because if you don't like, this is not good thought, there's some sense of aggression. I'm not saying that you should not recognize that and you should not have mindfulness to work with that. You need to work with that according to your level. However, on the Bodhisattva level and on the meditation level, you see the thought during sitting practice of meditation. And sitting practice of meditation is actually where your actual training takes place. The post-meditation teaching is someone when you advance in your meditation, such as able to keep the awareness when you're walking or sitting or talking or eating. That's for more advanced practitioners. Beginners weren't able to handle that. So beginners, the most important is when you're sitting practice of meditation. Whether you sit on your zafu or whether you sit on your chair, you need to sit and bring your awareness with mindfulness. If you don't have mindfulness, you'll be lost. It's not going to work. You need to have mindfulness. So you sit with mindfulness. And then seeing the play of the thoughts, whatever there is, good, bad, doesn't matter. And just treat them equally without trying to get into it. Just see them and let it through your breathing. When you breathe out, you let go. When you breathe in, you simply breathe in. And when you breathe out, you simply breathe out. And don't expect. Just sit with the right posture. Right posture is so important. It is said that the posture alone will bring half of the meditation. If your posture is not right, your meditation is finished. Gone. The posture of the body and posture of the mind in a certain way. Or posture of the body, the right, sitting straight, and the how the placement of the mind, Tibetan called Jakthap. I would say it's more like proper way is maybe called Jakthap, means placement. Of course, mind is not an object that you can just put it like this, place like. But how you bring that, the mindfulness, the awareness. And in this case, the medium is the breathing. Many different kinds of meditation, but in this case, it's breathing meditation. So your mind is with the breath, so you're placing that placement of your mind. Breath, breathe out, and just breathe out. Not holding it, let go. Breathe out, breathe in, your awareness is there. You breathe out, your awareness is there. But not with engaging, or not with going afterwards, or not pulling things inside. Just simply seeing that. And the mind will become clear by itself. You keep doing day after day after day. Then you will see a change in your mind, transformation in your mind. Even difficult situations which are before you can't handle, now it doesn't make no big deal. Fear of flying, fear of doing this, suddenly begin to disappear. Neurosis, hurt feeling, guilt feeling, all those things will gradually disappear. And the mind become more clear and free and compassionate and wisdom and joy. Those are natural qualities in your mind, which you already have, the enlightened Buddha nature or enlightened nature within you. Basic goodness. Okay, so now let's do a sitting practice of meditation. All right, so you all sit in your right posture, and we will all do sitting now. So every day, please do sitting practice and meditation. Learn to keep your awareness, meaning mindfulness, the awareness of meditation, basically. Even when you're post-meditation state, when you're eating, talking, so that your mind is not lost, then you will have a grip on your mind, but with gentleness, Then in post-meditation state, it's also important to, in order to break the notion of permanence, which leads to so much aggression and suffering, we need to understand impermanence, seeing all phenomena, which is impermanence. You're not making it up, it is impermanence. And then your mind will get more kinder, more open, more free. There's tremendous benefit by seeing impermanence. It's not necessarily like seeing impermanence. You're not, oh, how can I see impermanence? All the good things. But the thing is, when you begin to have a clinging and grasping, it builds up aggression and all kinds of afflictive emotion. It's a side effect of that. So by having more notion of impermanence, it will have your mind more free, more easy to forgive and move forward. Okay? Thank you. If you have any questions? No questions. Okay? Then, wonderful. So one day we can all sit together. As I said, this pandemic will end. In the meantime, please take care of your health and your practice. Take care of your mind, take care of your body. And I'm praying for all of you. I'm praying for the world peace, happiness, and you all also do that. And then we can have a better world, a more safe world. Okay? Thank you. And let's do a world peace prayer. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, and war and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. Sunam di tamche sikpani, tomni nyipe, dhanam pamchini, kigana che bolung, sipe tsole dowa rishu. I don't know the translation that you all know. Basically, the last dedication, how one destroy all the enemies, inner enemies of our afflictive emotions and ignorance, and that's very important. You see, our mind is fundamentally, nature of liberation. Our mind is not, of course the word design is not really the appropriate, but let me put it that way. Our mind is not designed to be trapped. Our mind is designed to be free. That's really the nature. That's where bodhicitta mind, that's where compassion is, that's where warm-heartedness is. It's not designed for hatred and aggression and this and that. It's designed for happiness and joy and uplift awareness. And how we can bring that? We can bring it through our Dharma practice, through bodhicitta. Whether you're doing your Ngundu practice, please do it well. Whether you're doing sitting practice, do your sitting practice. But do some Dharma practice. If you don't do nothing, your mind will just drift in dormant state. It will live in ignorant, and it will chingmuk, means drowsiness and obscured mind. It will always remain in that. And that will create suffering. No good will come out of that. So, there's a saying in Tibetan, like the cowboys, take the rein of the horse in your hand. Take yourself, your rein of your life in your own hand, and put that mind in the proper state, and it will lead you to liberation. Otherwise, it will drag you to samsara. Okay. Thank you, and we will meet again. So we will do another meditation. I think Tracy will let you know. Okay. Thank you all. Good night. Okay.